The importance of the connection between lands. We heard a lot a few minutes ago at the other corner of the park about people's family who are particularly vulnerable because they're in Gaza today. People who've lost their lives, people who are in danger of losing their lives. One of the expressions that I've learned from our Indigenous sisters and brothers is when we talk about peace, we're talking about all of our relations. So we're talking about our specific relations that we know about, our cousins and our families elsewhere, but we're also talking about all of our relations in many generations in the human family and in everybody that's sustained by Mother Earth. And this is one of the teachings that I'm very grateful for people like our next speaker. So I'd like you to give it up for my colleague, Dr. Jess Notwell from King's University College. Jess.
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Jess Nitsi Gasan. Migisogit Sawaw. Nehiao Katapim Sotsik Muniao. Nigo Twasik, Vitaskiwin Ostas Moyaswi Nehiao Askiwin. What's in Yakahte? Deshkon Zipping Megwats Niwigan. Hi, my name is Jess. I'm a guest here on these territories. The treaty that is called the London Township Treaty is numbered Treaty 6, but the original Treaty 6 territory is in northern Saskatchewan, which is my Indigenous family's traditional territory. I'm Métis, Cree Métis on my mom's side and White Settler on my dad's side. And I wanted to make the connection, as David said, between ending genocide, between rising up as Indigenous peoples from Turtle Island to Palestine, and ending the climate crisis. One of our traditions is when we give birth, as part of the birthing ceremony, we save the umbilical cord. And often we decorate a beautiful little bag and we save that umbilical cord until it's time for the ceremony, when with that little one we bury the umbilical cord in the ground so that that child always knows the territory that they belong to, so that that child can always find their way home. And when Mahmoud Darwish writes, "We in our land are one flesh, one bone," when he writes, "The land is our mother," it is that idea that Indigenous people of every territory belong to and are connected to that land across generations and for eternity, that nothing can break that connection, and that we care for those territories in so many ways. Artist Rehab Nazal, she's done some photography and video work in the destroyed villages of Lifta and in Yalo and Imwash, Imwas and Beit Nuba, which have been covered by the so-called Canada Park, colonized, right, by all those trees planted through the Jewish National Fund. And the work that she's done shows that the plants that Palestinian families have gathered and cared for centuries are coming back. They are reclaiming those destroyed villages. Those plant relatives, those more than human relations, are saying no to Israeli settler colonialism, and they are reclaiming those villages. And that relationship between Palestinian families who belong to those territories and those plants can never be broken, and the plants are showing that by their return to the villages while they wait for the families to come home.
Yes.
That connection will never be broken. And Indigenous people around the world care for our Earth Mother in so many ways. So that the terraced gardens that Palestinian families have planted across the territories of Palestine, that have prevented soil erosion, that have sustained those relationships between the people and the land, the caring for the water resources. You hear us say, from Standing Rock to What's Wet in Water is Life, and water is life in Palestine also. And the fact that 97% of the water in Gaza is contaminated and undrinkable is happening because of settler colonialism. It's happening because the bombs are making the water and the land toxic. It's happening because it is impossible to fix the sewage and water purification systems if you can't get any equipment to fix them? It is happening because raw sewage is going into the ocean in Gaza. How is that different from Chippewas of the Thames First Nation and Munsee Delaware Nation and Oneota Naida Nation of the Thames not having clean water because the contaminated water from London is flowing downstream? Settler colonialism is just directly harming our Earth Mother. That exploitation of what we call relatives, the water and the land that we call relatives, that the colonizer calls resources. That $524 billion worth of oil and gas that the Israeli settler colonial machinery wants to extract from the seabed, from the land, from the West Bank. Here, we say no to the black snake, we say no to the oil pipelines, we say no to the gas pipelines. In Standing Rock and in Wet'suwet'en, we say it's harming our Earth Mother, it's threatening our lives 7 generations ahead. Our babies, 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 we want them to be able to thrive. And in Gaza also, when people return, when people claim that right of return, when people go home, they want their babies to be able to live on the land safely and with health and to thrive. And so if we continue to interconnect our struggles, if we continue to understand from Turtle Island to Palestine, we need to be free, us and our Earth Mother, and sustain that relationship. We will all be able to rise together for freedom. Thank you.